What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Retro Hoop Collectibles. Today we're going to talk a little bit of football and talk a little bit of controversy. As you guys know, or may not know, if you follow football or not, I mean, if you're like me, you're about 75% basketball, 25% football. For the last 2 years, my Texans have been an absolute dumpster fire, and so haven't really been watching a whole lot of football. I usually kind of try to kick up the watching closer to playoff time as the seeding starts to really kind of take hold, and they're really trying to figure out who's going to be in the playoffs, what seat, and who's going to play who, and all that jazz. So I've been watching a lot of football, but however, I have been taking quite an interest in Deshaun Watson. Obviously, he's a Houston Texans quarterback. He is arguably one of the best quarterbacks to come out of that 2017 draft class that had just some monster quarterbacks in that draft class. I mean, obviously the big one being Mahomes that kind of overshadowed a lot of guys on that entire rookie class. But if you haven't really been keeping up, Deshaun Watson, about a year ago, a little over a year ago, ran into some issues where he had some allegations where he was being inappropriate with his masseuse and with some of his physical trainers. And so he had a total of, I think it was like 22 different women come forward and make allegations of his inappropriate behavior. And the card market took a very interesting turn. So let's take a look. And the reason why I'm doing this video today's March 11th, you'll probably be seeing it tomorrow, March 12th, is because I kind of wanted to take a quick snapshot. And as we're talking, the beauty, let me turn to this, I'm going to turn on this, we're watching this live almost, because today's March 11th, and already we have one sale that has beaten the last, look, oh, here goes another one. March 10th, March 11th for $11.56. We're watching the history of this thing jump up. So today, here we go. March 11th, March 11th, March 11th, March 11th, March 11th, March 11th. This has all happened within the last few hours, I would say. Because it just came out that Deshaun Watson will not be criminally charged so let's take a look at won't face criminal charges in connections with his sexual misconduct allegations. The jury has declined to indict Houston Texans quarterback Deshaun Watson following a police investigation filed by a lawsuit. 22 women who have accused him of sexual harassment. They filed a complaint against him last year. So let's take a look at the kind of the two main cards that I wanted to really take a peek at. And this is all just kind of interesting to me because, his cards were floating around the $1,000 range, $800, $900 range. Then when the allegations came out, they just started to take a quick dive. Not as much of a dive as I would have thought his cards would have taken during that time, but I think a lot of people really understood that, probably was going to be some sort of, fine or something like that. I don't know. Nobody was really clear about what was going to happen with the allegations. And as stories kind of came out that this was going to really be lingering for a long time, I think a lot of people really took to the idea of saying, hey, well, listen, regardless of what comes out of this, maybe not regardless, but as the story kind of unfolded, it was getting to be a little bit more clear that this was maybe some sort of a witch hunt or something like that. I don't know. But I think people were still intrigued by the fact that Deshaun Watson, regardless of his off the field, was a top 5 quarterback in the NFL at the time. It still is. I argue he still is. And so people kind of started picking up, and then, as things got really interesting, as they started to file like real lawsuits, real criminal suits and things like that, his prices kind of took a bit of a nosedive again towards the middle of last year. And then they kind of just hovered. It seems like everybody was just kind of hanging out and waiting and seeing what was going on. And then I think sometime last year there was some news that he was going to be deposed and that he was going to go through a criminal trial and all this other stuff, or at least a criminal deposition. And his cards kind of took a little bit of a drop, but then they just kind of, again, began to hover. Now, this year, a lot of news has come out about, how he was going to finally got a date on his deposition, and, what was going to happen with that. And then all of a sudden today we get the news that he will not be criminally charged. And his cards immediately, I'm talking immediately. So the last sale that we had, let me dip back to like 7 days ago. The last sale that we had was on March 10th for $667. Okay. March 10th for $667. And if we look at the sales history, already we're in the $800 range. $800 range, $800 range, $800 range, $800 range. 520 yesterday. Yesterday his cards were selling for the 585, 585, 600. This is his Prism silver rookie card. Okay. And we're just seeing these prices for 800, and I bet you if we go to eBay right now, there's going to be a ton more. So I'm really interested in following this thing. So this is his Optic PSA 10. Again, this one also same scenario, March 10th, March 11th, 280, 240, and I'm curious to see so 240, 179, 299, so close to 300. So the prices on his Optic are kind of bouncing around a little bit. But again, there's a lot of interesting different ways that people go about buying cards. I knew when this issue came out with him that it was going to be a long road, and that I could potentially be buying his cards, because I was a humongous fan. I mean, I was a huge fan of Deshaun Watson, obviously. Being a Houston Texans fan, I really felt like he was the cornerstone to what was going to be the rebuilding of our franchise. And when that happened, it really pissed me off that he was being accused of something like that, whether he did it or not, I don't know. I was just like really upset, like at the thought that he could possibly have done something like that, and then, completely mess up his career and the team and all that stuff. But there was just something that I was like, well, maybe he gets traded and his cards can really come up in value. But I sold off a lot of what I had of his when the controversy came out, but I held on to like some of the rookie cards, the press proofs and all that stuff that I had. But it's going to be interesting to watch this thing move, because, and we're already seeing it. I mean, yesterday they were selling for $580, $650. And then today there's already sales for, $800 plus, let me see if I can pull up 2017 Watson PSA 10 Prism. So this is Prism. Let's look at the sold. Yeah, I mean, already we're $899. One sold for $900 already sold today. Here's another one for $800, $800, $800, $700, $800, $800. This is all within the last hour or so. $800, $800. I mean, people are just buying them up left and right for $800. Anything 261. So that's the Optic. But again, very interesting scenario to be in at the moment. If you are holding on to Deshaun Watson cards, it really seems like this controversy really drives a lot, right? And I'm always curious to see, the level of controversy versus like the types of like punishment that's levied against the football player, the basketball player, the athlete, or whatever. But now it's interesting to see it from another perspective, because looking at it from card values and card prices, not only does it give you an opportunity to like see what the NFL thought in terms of how he should be punished, but whether or not people are buying up his cards or not really tells you like what the hobby in general thinks about this situation. And it's clear that the moment that he was, not acquitted, but at least they said, hey, we're not going to bring up any charges at all on this. It's interesting to see the reaction, the immediate reaction of the hobby. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. This is like a really interesting situation, I think, and it's interesting to watch from a numbers perspective and from a market perspective. But leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you guys think. I appreciate you guys watching as always. Love y'all. Peace.